Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really getting into something interesting, non-alcoholic and low alcohol wines.
Yeah, it's a huge trend.
Absolutely. And if you're listening, you like getting the full story, right? So we're going way beyond just, wine without the booze.
Exactly. Our mission here is to, well, really unpack these drinks. What are they? How are they actually made?
And why are they suddenly everywhere?
Right. We've dug into a lot of different sources to give you the complete picture. So let's get started.
Definitely. And you can see why it's taking off. It touches on, well, health, wellness.
Mindful drinking, that whole movement.
Yeah, and inclusivity too, making sure everyone feels part of it. Maybe
Yeah.
they're pregnant or on medication or for religious reasons.
Or just a designated driver for the night.
Exactly. Okay, so let's start with the basics. What are non-alcoholic and low alcohol wines, technically speaking?
Okay, so non-alcoholic wine, it actually starts life as real wine. It's fermented grapes.
So it has alcohol initially.
Yes, exactly. But then the alcohol is removed down to below 0.5% ABV. That's alcohol by volume.
0.5%. Okay. And low alcohol.
Well, alcohol has, well, significantly less alcohol than your standard wine standard being maybe 11 to 14.5% ABV.
Wow, yeah.
So low alcohol is typically in the range of 0.5% up to about 5% ABV.
Which is what? Less than many beers?
Often, yes.
Ah.
A lot of beers sit around 4–6%, so it's quite low.
Right. And crucially, this isn't the same as just grape juice, is it?
Oh, not at all.
Yeah.
That's a really key distinction. Grape juice, it never goes through fermentation.
It just stays juice.
Right. That fermentation process, even before they take the alcohol out, creates a whole layer of complex flavors and aromas. You just don't get that in juice.
Okay. So they make proper wine first, then magic happens. How do they actually remove the alcohol?
Huh. Well, not quite magic, but it is clever science. After the winemaking, they use these specialized techniques. One of the big ones is reverse osmosis.
Reverse osmosis. Sounds like something from science class.
It kind of is. Basically, they use really high pressure to push the wine through these super fine filters, semi-permeable membranes.
Okay.
These membranes separate the water and alcohol from everything else, the flavor compounds, the color, tannins.
So they sort of concentrate the wine essence.
Exactly. Then they take that water-alcohol mix, distill the alcohol out, and add the now alcohol-free water back into the concentrated wine stuff.
Huh. And how does that affect the final wine?
Well, it's generally seen as being gentler, so it can preserve the aromas quite well. But sometimes the texture, the body, can feel a bit lighter afterwards.
Interesting trade-off. What's another way they do it?
Another really common method is vacuum distillation.
Vacuum.
So the principle here is that if you lower the pressure, liquids boil at a lower temperature.
Right, like water boils faster on a mountaintop.
Precisely. So they put the wine under a vacuum, which means the alcohol boils off at a much lower temperature, maybe only 25 to 35 degrees Celsius.
Oh, that's quite cool. Not cooking the wine.
Exactly. It avoids heat damage. They collect the alcohol vapor, leaving the de-alcoholized wine behind. It's efficient, but
There's always a but.
there can be. Sometimes you can lose some of those really volatile aroma compounds, the delicate smells, though some newer systems are actually designed to capture and reintroduce those.
Okay, so they're getting better at it. Are there other methods too?
Yes, a few others worth mentioning briefly. There's simple evaporation, basically heating it. It's cheaper, but you risk damaging the flavor more easily with the heat.
Makes sense.
Then you have something called rotating cone columns. Very efficient, works at low temperatures, can recover aromas, but it's expensive technology.
Right. High-end stuff.
And finally, dialysis. It's another membrane technique, a bit like reverse osmosis, potentially gentle, but its effectiveness can vary.
So quite a few options, each with its own pros and cons. What's the general impact of these processes on the wine itself? What changes?
Several things. Flavor and aroma, as we touched on. You might lose some compounds, or they might change slightly. Texture is a big one. Alcohol gives wine body, that feeling of weight in your mouth. Take it out, and the wine can feel lighter, maybe thinner.
Right, it contributes to the mouthfeel.
Definitely. And balance, too. Things like acidity or tannins might suddenly seem more, well, noticeable or even sharp without the alcohol there to round them out.
So it's a real balancing act then, removing one element without throwing everything else off.
That's exactly it. The real goal for producers is to keep the heart of the wine, the grape character, that sense of place, the terroir intact, through both making the wine and then taking the alcohol out. It's tricky.
I can imagine. So, okay, we know how they might make it. What kinds of non-alcoholic wines are actually out there? Is it just like one type of red and one white?
Oh, no, definitely not anymore. The variety's really growing, just
Hmm.
like with regular wine. Think about non-alcoholic reds.
Yeah.
You can find ones with those nice red fruit, maybe black fruit notes, sometimes a little spice. But as we said, they often feel lighter on the palate. Maybe the tannins are softer than you'd expect in a regular red.
Okay, so maybe don't expect a huge Cabernet Sauvignon equivalent.
Probably not quite that level of body, generally speaking,
Yeah.
but still recognizably red wine in style.
Gotcha. What about whites?
Non-alcoholic whites often do a pretty good job of holding on to those primary fruit and floral smells and maybe some of those secondary notes from fermentation.
Like buttery notes, maybe?
Sometimes, yeah.
Hmm.
You often get a nice crisp acidity, which is great, and a light to medium body. They can be really refreshing.
Sounds good for summer. And rosé, it's so popular.
Absolutely. Non-alcoholic rosés usually lean into those fresh strawberry, raspberry kind of aromas. They tend to have that bright acidity too, making them really easy drinking, great for warm days or with lighter food.
Nice. And bubbles for celebrations.
Yeah, non-alcoholic sparkling is interesting. There's sort of two routes. Some producers actually make proper sparkling wine, then de-alcoholize it.
Ah, like the methods we talked about.
Exactly. They're aiming for that elegance, complexity, maybe some yeasty notes alongside the fruit. Others are, well, essentially carbonated grape juice, which is simpler.
So different levels of sophistication there.
Definitely. The de-alcoholized versions are trying harder to mimic traditional sparkling wine.
Okay. Any other styles? What about those richer wines like port or sherry?
Good question. Non-alcoholic fortified styles are much less common. It's really technically challenging.
Why is that?
Well, so much of the character of port or sherry comes from the alcohol. The warmth, the body, how it carries those complex aged flavors. It's very hard to replicate that richness without the high alcohol level.
Right, the alcohol is kind of integral.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But overall, the main point is the range is definitely expanding. You can find dry styles, sweeter styles, simple fruity ones, and things aiming for more complexity.
Good to know. So choices are increasing. Now, we mentioned this earlier, but let's be really clear. How is this different from just grabbing a bottle of grape juice or even, say, iced tea or soda?
Yeah, this is super important. Non-alcoholic wine, because it was fermented, has layers of flavor complexity that grape juice simply doesn't.
Because the yeast did its work.
Precisely. It transformed the sugars, created new compounds. Even with the alcohol gone, some of that complexity remains. Grape juice is just, well, grape juice. Unchanged.
Okay. So it has that winemaking heritage. How does it compare to other non-alcoholic options then, like tea or soda?
Well, think about tea. Great variety, sure, but it doesn't have that specific acidity profile of wine or the same kind of fruit structure.
Different ballpark entirely.
Right. And sodas. Usually sweet, often artificially flavored, no real connection to agriculture or terroir. Flavored water is even simpler.
So why pick the non-alcoholic wine? What's the edge?
I think it comes down to sophistication and sensory interest. Non-alcoholic wine is trying to offer more, those primary fruit notes, secondary fermentation hints, sometimes even subtle aging notes.
Trying to be wine-like.
Exactly. Plus, it has structure acidity, maybe some tannin, which gives it texture and makes it way better for pairing with food. And then there's the social aspect, feeling included, having something that feels a bit more grown up or celebratory.
That makes a lot of sense. It fits the occasion better sometimes.
Mhm.
Okay, let's shift focus a bit to health. This is a big driver for the trend, right? Are there actual health benefits?
There can be, yes. A key thing is that removing the alcohol doesn't necessarily remove all the other good stuff from the grapes.
Like what?
Antioxidants, polyphenols you've probably heard of, resveratrol, quercetin, anthocyanins. These compounds are still present.
And they're linked to good things.
Research suggests potential benefits, yeah. Things like supporting cardiovascular health, anti-inflammatory effects, helping your body fight oxidative stress.
So you get some potential grape goodness without the alcohol effects.
That's the idea. And of course, it's a great option for people who need to avoid alcohol for specific reasons. Pregnancy, breastfeeding, medication interactions, certain health conditions.
Right, it removes that barrier.
Exactly. And just for general well-being, too, you can enjoy the social ritual, the taste experience, without worrying about the negative side effects of alcohol consumption. That's huge for many people.
Definitely a plus. So it keeps some of the good, removes the bad. Okay, let's say someone listening is curious. They want to try it. How do you even taste non-alcoholic wine? Is it the same drill as regular wine?
It's very similar. but with a few things to keep in mind. You still look at the color, swirl the glass.
Get the aromas going.
Yep, give it a good sniff. Notice those fruit, floral, maybe spicy notes. Then take a sip.
And what are you looking for then?
Well, you're tasting the flavors, obviously.
Uh-huh.
But you'll notice the big difference is the lack of alcoholic heat or burn.
Right, that warmth isn't there.
Exactly. You might also perceive the body as lighter, like we discussed. If there's any residual sugar, it might seem a bit more prominent without the alcohol to balance it, and maybe fewer of those complex, aged, tertiary aromas.
So the focus shifts maybe more towards the fruitiness and the acidity?
I think that's a good way to put it. Those primary grape characteristics, the fruit, the flowers, the herbs, and the acidity become really key players in defining the wine's profile and keeping it refreshing.
Okay, interesting. So you've tasted it. Now, food pairing, is that totally different too?
Not totally different. The principles are similar. You're still looking for balance and complementarity. Think about the weight and intensity.
So lighter NA wines with lighter foods.
Generally, yeah. For non-alcoholic red, maybe think grilled chicken or pork, lighter burgers, pasta with tomato sauce, things that aren't too heavy or overpowering.
Got it. And for the whites?
NA whites are often great with things like grilled or steamed fish, seafood, sushi.
Oh, sushi. Interesting.
Yeah, salads with citrusy dressings work well, or even some mildly spiced Asian dishes. That crispness cuts through nicely.
Makes sense. Rosé?
Think summer, salads, light veggie dishes, grilled vegetables, Mediterranean flavors. The freshness of the rosé pairs beautifully.
Sounds perfect. And the sparkling ones, beyond just raising a toast.
Oh yeah, they're quite versatile. Good with light appetizers, more seafood, even light fried things like tempura. The bubbles are great there. And fruit desserts that aren't overly sweet.
Tempura. Nice. Okay, and if you do find a slightly sweeter NA wine,
Then lean into fruit desserts, maybe a simple fruit tart, or even some soft creamy cheeses can be a nice match.
lots of options.
Absolutely. The main thing is don't be afraid to experiment. See what combinations you enjoy.
Good advice. Okay, let's zoom out again. The market for this stuff. Is it still tiny, or is it really making waves?
Oh, it's definitely making waves. The growth has been significant, and it seems to be accelerating.
Wow.
All those factors we talked about, health, lifestyle changes, inclusivity, they're really fueling demand. It's moved way beyond being just a niche product.
So who's actually making it? Is it the big traditional wineries dipping their toes in, or new companies specializing in this?
It's actually a mix, which is interesting. You have major players like Frinksney doing their alcohol-free sparkling, Miguel Torres with their Naturio line.
Big names.
Yeah, Conchi Toro has Casito del Diablo Belite. Jay Hofstetter in Italy has a Zero Riesling. Salton in Brazil, Ladorni too. These established wineries are definitely involved.
So they see the potential.
Clearly. But then you also have dedicated non-alcoholic brands popping up, like Vino or Despito, who are solely focused on this space and often experimenting with different styles and techniques.
So innovation from both sides.
Exactly. The fact that the big guys are in shows it's becoming mainstream.
And who's buying it? Is there a typical NA wine drinker?
It's really broad now. You've got the health-conscious crowd, people deliberately drinking less alcohol, the mindful drinkers,
Right.
those who can't drink for various reasons. And interestingly, younger generations, millennials and Gen Z, seem particularly open to these alternatives.
Less attached to traditional alcohol, maybe?
Perhaps. But the key trend is a demand for quality. People want good-tasting options they can enjoy on any occasion, not just when they have to avoid alcohol. It's becoming a positive choice.
So it's shedding that image of being just a substitute. What do you think the future holds? More growth? More changes?
I think definitely continued growth. We'll probably see more innovation in the dealcoholization tech, trying to get even better flavor retention.
Better quality overall.
Yes. A real focus on quality. And likely an expansion of styles available, maybe more grape varietals, more premium offerings.
Yeah.
And better availability, too, in shops, restaurants, online.
Could we see like high-end, expensive, non-alcoholic wines eventually?
I think that's definitely possible. Wines that stand on their own merits for complexity and craft, regardless of the alcohol content.
Fascinating. It really feels like a category that's coming into its own. So just to wrap things up, what are the main things you want people to take away from this deep dive?
Well, I think the big points are non-alcoholic wine is a distinct, evolving category. It's not just grape juice. It offers a sophisticated alternative, often keeping some of those beneficial grape compounds.
And it's great for inclusivity.
Hugely important. And crucially, the quality and variety are getting better all the time, making it a genuinely interesting option for more and more people.
Excellent summary. And maybe a final thought for everyone listening. Think about what this trend means for socializing, for our whole relationship with wine. Could these alcohol-free options open up new food pairing possibilities or dining experiences we haven't even considered yet?
Definitely something to ponder.
It is indeed. Well, thanks for digging into all that with me today.
My pleasure. It's great chatting about it.